Good afternoon, hello, welcome to the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. Please do hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Thank you very much. Let's get straight into it. This is a third cat only race at Curborough Circuit organised by Lichfield CC. This was at the end of June, I believe. Let's go. This is my first mistake of the race. Wow, that guy has got some kick on him. I didn't start off flat out. He would have still put a gap into me, but it would have been smaller. And because of that, I've now got a gap to close. Now, there are only 9 of us on the start line. There were 10 people entered, 10 people signed on, but only 9 people took the start. So therefore, we're a small group. So there's now 8 of us behind, and this one guy's got a decent gap. Now, the GoPro angle at that speed's not legit. The GPS messes up with the first lap. The GoPro angle does make him look a little bit further away than he actually is. However, that is still a decent gap. I would love to sit up here and let somebody else close the gap so early on in the race, but the reality is I just can't afford to let somebody go up the road when we've only got a group of 8 riders behind. Whereas when you're in a big group, the speed carries quite easily. When you're in a smaller group, it doesn't. You need to work harder. So therefore, it's harder to bring a breakaway back. So I knew I needed to get across to him and either bring him back with the group on my wheel or get across to him solo and us then work and try and stay away. So I'm not really looking behind, to be honest. My only objective is to get on this guy's wheel because I'd quite like to win this bike race, and spoiler alert, I did win it. So stay tuned for that. I'm kicking hard out this corner. I know that the group isn't far behind me, but I have got a little gap. And when I catch him up, I've had to work hard for this. And I think he eased up because he knew he was getting caught. I said something like, we've got a gap, because we genuinely had. So then he gets on my wheel, fair play to him, you know, surges on. We've both gone hard on that lap, so neither of us have got amazing legs after just going 0 to 100 real quick. But he gets on my wheel, and I put some work in down here. We're into a slight headwind coming down this start-finish straight, and I put a little bit of work in. I'm doing, what, 440 odd watts, but unfortunately it is not enough. The group are thinking exactly the same as I was. We don't want to let these people go away, so unfortunately we got brought back, but that is just how it plays out. Now, 9 of us on the line. I have a teammate in this race, in Dean. Great rider, strong guy. We see more of him later on. And I believe the guy in second wheel also has a teammate. I don't think they were wearing the same kit, but looking on the results, there were 2 riders from Lichfield CC, and I think that guy is the Lichfield CC rider. So it makes it a bit harder to, you know, use your strategy during the race, but we're not in the world tour. Like, if you're not wearing the same kit, it's not the end of the world. He's then peeling off there. He doesn't want to sit near the front. He's done a big effort, absolutely fine. I should probably be doing the same, but I am going really easy. I'm doing sort of, you know, 200 and something watts, so I'm just almost waiting for people to come past me so that I can sit on their wheels. My heart rate's come down nicely. Here we go. This guy then just surges past me. Good effort there. And the guy who was in the break with initially has got straight on his wheel. Now, sorry, I don't know you guys' names if you were in this race, watch this video. Feel free to add any comments you've got down below as to how you think the race played out. It was safe throughout. There was some good racing throughout. We've got plenty of attacks and stuff. I think there's a lot of learnings for everybody in this race. So yeah, feel free to add to this if you like. And also, if you're just watching this, you know, feel free to comment. So where are we now? The guy that got off the front of the start. Again, look, you can see he's not wanting to just do loads of work on the front. We're going into a slight headwind here. So he's not wanting to just tow us all along. He's not going very hard at all here. It's smart riding. This gentleman in second wheel with the big beard, you can't see his beard at the minute, but you can do when he goes behind me in a little while. He's got a decent kick on him as well. There's a few times he attacks, and every time, so here we go. Every time I'm watching that, I'm thinking, and look at that second wheel as well. They've both got a good kick on them. I'm just thinking, I don't fancy racing against them. I don't fancy sprinting against them to the finish. So this is just making me think about how this race needs to play out, in that there is no point in me taking these guys to the finish line because I'm probably not going to win. Sometimes you can't help that, but if you can help it, then obviously you should think about that at some point during the race. These other riders now just coming through. I'm just, you know, looking at, I've not really seen every single rider yet. There's a couple stretching off into the distance. This is all too easy. I see he starts chasing then, so then I'm just going to try and get on his wheel. Hopefully he just holds the gap or closes the wheel down. I'm going pretty hard here. I've just let the gap open up a little bit too much for it to be a big benefit. And he's looking behind him, so he might be thinking, oh, maybe I can get away with those 2, which is completely plausible. I'm pushing hard. I'm not like snap closing that gap. I think when you say snap close, I mean like putting a big dig in to get across that rider ASAP so you can then sit on the wheel. Because in reality, I don't think I could do. A rider again comes past me, but I'm sort of resting on the fact that, well, 2 or 3 riders, unless they're working well together, I probably back myself to close them down after a lap or so. And we can see here now we're all sort of back together. There's a little bit of a gap behind me. Now it does look like it's a bigger gap behind than it actually is. I think that's probably about 8 meters, 10 meters, then of course they close us down again. So racing as a small group, this is, I don't think it is like a breakaway, because so a guy attacks on the right, another attack, and this is just pretty constant for the first few minutes. I don't think it is like a breakaway. This is pretty surgy, pretty attacky. I think in breakaways you tend to work together a little bit more, especially if you're trying to keep a group behind. Being a smaller group, you can't just sit at the back and just draft and have an easy few laps, because if you miss the field splitting because it's such a small group, then the race is gone without you even having any say in it. So you've almost got to be animated and be in the mix throughout, and it was a really different dynamic. So the last time I raced this race, there was about 35 riders, so to go down to 9, it's a very different race. Now there aren't many riders in this race because they had hopes to hold a women's race and they advertised it but didn't get any entries. So unfortunately then the 2 days before they changed it to a third cap men's race, hence why there's only 9 people on the start line. Normally there's a lot more riders, so unfortunately there's just a few less people there, but we go and support the event organisers. They also try new things, so fair play to them. Thank you very much to British Cycling and to Lichfield CC for letting me have cameras on my bike. For those who ask, I did have to write to British Cycling and ask for permission and the event organisers. It's been really good actually, it's been really interesting. This is the last video from my series of bike racing videos, because I am, as my YouTube channel name now indicates, I'm going to be focusing on triathlon for the next few weeks, which will probably take me past the end of the crit season, I think. But yeah, it's been really good. I'm hopefully going to write to British Cycling and ask them to basically review their rule. Now here, I've just rolled to the front. Dean's second wheel, so I know here I'm going to attack because my teammate's in second, therefore I can probably slip off the front. Unfortunately, Dean does kick hard out that corner and I don't get a gap. I don't think he's trying to chase me down. He has got like a better kick than me. I see that he's there and I immediately just sit up because I think I'm not working hard with my teammate on my wheel. There's absolutely no point. Like he either lets me go and I go off the front and somebody else comes around him to close the gap, or I don't work hard at all. We need to play to our strengths here. If we just like one-upping each other, so if I'm attacking, if he's attacking, if somebody else is attacking, like it's just the strongest rider wins, and I'm not sure I'm the strongest rider. Nice little attack on the left there from that guy, little counter. So I think we have a little bit of a discussion as well. We had a bit of a plan in that we just said, yeah, we don't want to overcomplicate it. It's a third cat race, it's a short circuit, there's 9 people in the bunch. We don't need to have a massive discussion about complicated team tactics. It was just a case of, right, let's both stay in the mix, both stay close to the front. When we feel it's right to do so, we'll take it in turns to attack. And if one of us sticks, great, well done. And if not, you know what, we'll play it by ear. In reality, I'd probably leave Dean out if it was going to be a sprint. But we were hoping it was going to break up before the finish, and that was pretty much it. The thing is, when there's only one gentleman unfortunately got dropped, so we're down to 8 now. When there's only 8 of you, you can just sort of have a few words with each other towards the back. Like, it's not like people don't hear you when it's so windy and you're moving at like 25 miles an hour. And we just need to say, okay, you go next lap or something, something like that. It's not the end of the world. We just sort of test new things. Another big surge, another attack from that rider who's going on the road. Some of these aren't like full-on, flat-out attacks, but they're just enough to keep you on your toes, keep your heart rate high, make you surge on when you'd otherwise quite like to take it easy. Now, when it's easier, it's not always necessarily a good time to attack, especially if it's been easy for probably more than 30 seconds to a minute, because a lot of riders will have recovered and will have got the heart rates down, so they're more tempted to follow an attack. So this guy here is attacking after there's just been a bit of an attack. That's good timing. Heart rates are pretty high. People might be thinking, oh, I'm not going to follow that. And if the guy at the front of this group thinks, oh, I'm not going to follow that, and he hesitates for 5 seconds, second wheel doesn't come round, that rider gets a gap, and that's how people then stay away. So you can see up the road, look, he's got a decent gap. Fortunately, these riders then start working, and I'm just trying to play it cool. I'm trying to let him drop on the back of that group lock. I know he's worked to try and close the group down, so if I sort of sit back here, I can still benefit from the draft of that group, not be all over the wheels, and almost feign that maybe I'm feeling it or maybe I'm fading. I was feeling okay. I wasn't fading at all, really, but it just helps them sort of filter through and take turns to chase this group down and me not have to. Now, I am still going very hard here. However, I'm not going as hard as those who are having to try and close the gap at the front. It might be a bit of a slingshot effect at the back, but here especially, if I'm doing 400 odd watts, those in front are doing slightly more than that, aren't they? So it's really, really beneficial for me just letting those do it. And even then, I see that guy kick onto that last wheel, so I'm not going to go around him and try and get onto that guy on the oranges wheel, because I can see he is fighting to hold on to it. If I didn't think he was going to hold on to it, then yes, I'd come around him, but it just makes sense sometimes to just chill out a little bit and not follow every single wheel and every single attack. I'm also bearing in mind, I'm trying to keep my eyes on who's attacking, because if, for example, that guy in the blue and white attacks and gets brought back, well, I know then it's probably a good chance for me to attack, because he's unlikely to follow me, and we've already identified him as a strong rider, or at the very least a strong sprinter. So it's complicated sometimes to try and keep track of who's doing what and who's done what, but it is worthwhile looking at. So I come through here, I think I get a bit boxed in here. I should have gone round to the right of this group there. I'm a bit boxed in and I've lost that momentum. When I was initially coming through, that could have been a good time to attack there, because I was carrying probably 2 or 3 miles an hour more than that group anyway. What's my heart rate doing? 158 beats a minute. I'm okay. That's about a few beats below threshold. I think my threshold's about 162, 163. Look at that. What on earth? I am not taking him to the finish line. That was some kick. And you know what he'd done? He'd eased it up, slowed the group down, and then it's a good time to attack, really, when that group is, you're changing the pace of the group. So we've not got a good drafting benefit. Although it was a headwind down that start-finish straight, when you're doing 18 miles an hour and he kicks on immediately to like 28, you've got to put a big dig in. You almost got to, well, you have got to match him like watt for watt to be able to hold the gap. And again, I can see these are working to bring him back, so I'm not going to put a big attack in to come around. And if anything, he's sat up and let me come back to him. So okay, I'm bearing in mind now, he's put a little attack in, well, little, big attack. I'd love to see the sprint numbers of that sort of effort for inspiration and poor morale for myself. And he's sort of dangling off the front now, so I come around. I don't know what I was thinking here. I was thinking, well, if I can just ease to the front when it's easier, I've gained a few positions without having to absolutely flog myself to get there. I wonder how he rides out this corner now. So he's just put a big attack in, got away a little bit, but then got brought back. I think I put a little bit of a dig in now. So he's still kicking hard out these corners. This is the thing, if he's a good sprinter, he's perhaps not trying very hard kicking out the corners, but it's just looking like he is because he's got such a good kick on him. Now here, I'm sitting at a fairly hard tempo. I think I'm just letting him dangle more than anything, like, leave him just working hard. The group is strung out behind, but I'm getting some drafting benefit from him. And if anything, I'm just hoping that he's going to burn himself up. This race is about 30 minutes long, 35 minutes long, so we still have got a little way to go. That potentially could have been a good time to attack there. I just think I didn't quite fancy it. I don't know why, I just didn't feel like that'd be a good place to attack. It is a bit of a wasted exercise sometimes, attacking and then having a corner. Unless you can commit to cornering a lot faster than you would normally, you just scrub that speed off. The person behind you then just brakes a little bit later and they're back on your wheel. So I'm right on the front here. That guy's dropped back a few wheels. I think I have a little bit of a nudge out this corner. No, not really. Just kick on up to speed. The thing is, if you like soft tap out the corners, it's very easy to get swamped. So then if, second and third wheel press on or attack, you can very quickly go from the front to the back, so you always have to keep the pace up a little bit, and that way if somebody does attack, you've not got 10 miles an hour to gain, you've got 5 miles an hour to gain, which is a little bit easier to do. It's pretty fast down this bit, doing it on 260 watts for 23 miles an hour, so there's not much of a drafting benefit, so I'm not worried too much about sitting on the front of the group. It's not that hard. I'm conscious of it, and there's not really much point to me being there, but I'm not too concerned about it at this point. I think Dean makes an appearance soon. Can't quite remember. This corner's quite tight here. This does get down pretty slow to I think in reality we get down to 17 miles an hour or so, and then it's a big kick out of there to get back up to speed. Again here, I've really just not pedalled hard out of the corner, and then I'm thinking everybody behind me, they also haven't gone very hard. So here we go, there's another attack. That's another good attack. I do respond a little bit, but then I think I'm not committing to it. I hear somebody come in, so I push on onto his wheel. I think I was flicking the elbow. You just sort of want somebody else to keep chasing. So Dean, then my teammate, has attacked. Now I'm not going to follow his wheel because he's my teammate. If he breaks away and gets away with that guy, well, great, good work. The worst he's going to come is second. So then therefore, I just sit sort of fourth or fifth wheel. Now, unfortunately, it has come back together, but Dean looks like he's swinging out to try and push round him. I don't know if he is or not, I can't quite see. He has just gone round him. And this is my ticket to not having to do any work, isn't it? Like, Dean's at the front, Dean's attacking. I don't need to do anything. I just need to stay in the mix so that if it comes back together, or if a gap appears and Dean isn't in the front group, I can then respond to it. I can just give him the opportunity to have his chance to attack and stuff. And it's pretty hard, look. I'm kicking on out the back here. I don't know really why I've let that big gap open. I shouldn't really be doing that, because if it does really kick off now, I'm going to struggle to stay on. A bit silly, really. Oh, okay, a bit close. I think the camera angle does play tricks with how far away it actually is, because my heart rate is okay, so I don't see why I would have left a massive gap. But again, Dean's still near the front, and there's not really much I can do in terms of control in the group. Dean's working pretty hard on the front, and he's a great rider, Dean. I think he does too much of this. Like, he sits on the front and works hard. I don't know that for gospel. He might not be working that hard, but I'm doing 26 miles an hour, so somebody on the front's doing something, aren't they? And sometimes he does that, and he'll, like, you know, split the field and stuff. But on our club rides, he'll blow it apart. But in a race when you've got 30 cat riders who are all good riders, you don't really do so. But he's kicked out that corner, and he's causing me some difficulty coming out this corner. So I think, well, I should probably move up a little bit, because I don't want to get taken out the back by my teammate. See that guy there just off the back. Fair play to that guy who got dropped relatively early on. It was quite surgy, so he must have just dropped off. He held a similar gap the whole way through the race, kept chugging along and kept working. Absolutely fair play. It must be tough on your own the whole way when you're just off the back of the group. So close but so far. So genuinely fair play. Well done to you. Dean's still near the front here. I'm not quite sure what his plan is, but I'm all for it, because I can just sit on the back here and not really have to do much, and I sort of let my legs recover a little bit. So I'm thinking 17 minutes in, we're about halfway. I feel like it was 34 minutes the race. It was planned to be 30 minutes plus 5 laps or something like that, or plus 25 plus 5. So I'm pacing for around 35 minutes, and I'm thinking, well, from 20 to 30 minutes, that's my sort of get away and stay away time zone. That's where I need to be really thinking about doing something. Dean's still on the front, still going hard. I can just see, you can see better in real life further up the road than you can do on this GoPro. He's still going pretty hard, but there's no reason for me to move up. If I go up to the front now, it's just two teammates on the front together. There's not really any benefit for it. I was also using this opportunity just to relax a bit, just to have a solid recovery. I was conscious that those in front of me are recovering just as well, but you know, I was drinking, I've got some full steam carb mix, and I was just having a few sips. I don't think you need to fuel nutrition wise on a 30-minute race, but just taking in a little bit of hydration, I've genuinely found really makes me feel better in a race. I've not noticed any massive like power improvements, but it does make you feel a little bit better. Your mouth isn't as dry, you breathe a bit better, and you just feel a little bit more hydrated. I only tend to put like a third of a bottle in for, I don't know, weight. Not that matters on this sort of circuit, but you know, only a sort of splash or something. It's a bit of another hard kick out of that corner there. I wish Dean had stopped doing this to me. Right on the back, it's a bit of a slingshot effect. Now I'm kind of a bit of momentum there, so maybe this is a good chance for me to just move up a little bit. I think I do. I'll just ease up a little bit. So the wind's sort of from the from the front, but I'm just pressing on, just getting towards the front. That guy there was just looking around. So I know there that he's a great sprinter, so there's not really much point in me attacking, I don't think, right there, because he's just going to follow me. It's not going to cause him too much difficulty. People are bunching up behind me. I know that they're probably as recovered as I am. Dean is still there or thereabouts. So we're just thinking now, how can we do something together? Dean's pressed on there to come back to me. You know, what can we do that is going to put us in a position to win the race? So Dean's alongside me, and I don't think we say anything because we're right at the front of the group. They're probably going to hear us, and to be honest, we don't know what we're doing. Like, you know, we're just third cats, just having a good race with some mates. Like, we're not like going to have some secret hand signal, which then leads to us having some you know, some sly race tactics or so on. Just getting the speed up here. I do like surging on here. Here we go. A bit of an attack from DW. Come on. I like this bit because in that chicane, it really narrows it out and everybody will be single file. And I knew then Dean was second or third wheel. He was actually third wheel. So if he doesn't respond to my attack, which he shouldn't, it creates a gap. And then third and fourth and fifth and so on, I've got to put in a big attack to get around Dean and then to close the gap down. So I was happy to put an attack in here. I know this guy has sort of gone with me, but that's fine because those behind me, that speed's not legit. I was doing about 28 miles an hour there. Those guys, you know, further behind are having to put a big effort in to stop me from breaking away. I was absolutely another big kick out this corner here. I'm still committed to trying to get away. This is the point though, coming into the headwind where I have a look around. If people are on my wheel, there's no need to work really hard. So I can see them on my wheel. So now I knock it off. I've had a good attack down that not start finish straight, down that back straight, or the back curvy bit. It's not worked, so therefore we knock it off and you think, okay, I'll reset and try again on another lap, perhaps on a different part of the circuit, perhaps with somebody different on your wheel. I really have to not really knock it off so somebody comes around me, so thankfully this guy comes around me, and I then get a little bit of a draft if I just drop in sort of behind him. I can't see what club he rides for, but is it Bridge North, something like that? He was riding well as well. I think I was one of the few on rim brakes in this race. A lot of people seem to be on discs now. I'm still on rim brakes till I die, just because I don't want to buy a load of new wheels. So I'm surging on here into the corner. I'm not sure why I'm pressing on for position. I think I wanted to just try and perhaps get away here again, do I? Yep, so again, another big attack down this back straight. So I've just tried on this last lap to do the same thing. I surge into the corner to build a bit of speed up to get a little bit of a gap. And I pressed on before the chicane this time. So this chicane, if you carry the speed in, wow, you can really rail that corner and try and get away. And that's what I'm doing. I've got a decent gap here. This is good. I'm thinking here, right, I'm a little bit further out than I'd like to be. But because I'm a little bit further out than I'd like to be, people are more likely to let me go because they're thinking, oh, this is a little bit far out. We've probably got 6 or 7 laps to go, and the lap's about 1 minute 50-ish, depending on how fast they are. Unfortunately, our friend from the beginning has already tracked me down. He is on my, well, nearly on my wheel, so he's had absolutely no bother in responding to that. I'm still kicking hard out of this corner because I want people to be hurting. If it is going to come down to a sprint, I need the race to have been as hard as it can be, because that really restricts the sprinter's abilities to be able to kick hard. It does restrict mine as well, but I do think that because I'm more aerobic than perhaps a normal sprinter and perhaps have a higher threshold perhaps, hopefully I wouldn't be as effective as them, but you don't really know. There we go, there's the guy with the beard behind me. He's been in the mix throughout and he puts in some good attacks, real good racer. Start swerving around now. This one is getting a little bit nervous, so we've got probably 10 minutes before the end of the race and everybody's thinking the same thing, how can I win this bike race? So you'll see people get to the front and then they'll really not want to take a turn, so they'll just zigzag around on the circuit, they'll be looking around, they'll take wide lines into corners. It's just what happens. The difference between third and fourth cat is quite big. You got to think anybody who's in a third cat only race has scored 12 points obviously to get the third cat license, but you know they're going to know what to do at the racing. Some fourth cats do as well, but it's just a bit more, the strength in depth is a bit more in the third cat fields. Just surging around the outside here. I'm not entirely sure why. I think I was just fighting for position. I just wanted to keep some good position in. I knew that it was getting a bit tense, and that if I'm at or near the front, then it's a bit less of a concern for me, because while I'm at or near the front, I don't want to miss a break, and I also want to take any opportunity I can to try and form a breakaway. It was looking like obviously we're all going to be in the points because there's only so few of us in the race. However, I'd quite like to be in the first place to get 10 points. That'd be very nice. And our Dean does very shortly. I think he attacks and gets a little bit of a gap. So I'm right on the front here. All the rides on my wheel. I'm not going very hard. Again, I'm just getting that speed up at the corner and then easing off. I'm trying to manage my body. The low 140s BPM is very manageable for me. That's sort of like top end, well, probably top end middle tempo. But I'm just thinking, because I'm feeling like that, everybody else will be feeling like that as well. Now I'm doing 200 watts here. I really want somebody to come around me. We can see Dean here, my teammate, is coming around me. He knows by this point I'm probably just going to let him go. I don't think he knows it for sure, because here, he comes around me, I just ease off a little bit, let him go, and then he looks around, watch this, he looks around like, oh, where is everyone? Come on, Dean, have a look. Has a look, and then goes, oh yes, I've got a gap, and then you see him really make a concerted effort. Now, I do think, obviously that guy's looking at me, I'm not going to chase my teammate down. I do think if he hadn't have been a bit alarmed, he might have got away a little bit more, but that's perfect by Dean. Come around, got a gap, press on. This is his chance. Now I'm just coming back to the front, I'm not pushing on hard. If anything, I'm slowing it down in this corner. I'm freewheeling, I'm trying to take up all the road, I'm sort of drifting out a little bit in the corner. I've got like my elbows out, like I'm trying to look like, don't come past me. Unfortunately, then a couple of riders come by me, so then I have to press on a bit, because I don't want to get dropped by these people. I do want to be able to be in the mix, because when they bring Dean back, if they do, I need to counter attack. This is our advantage in a small field, having a teammate. Only if you actually use it. Just having somebody with the same jersey on as you doesn't help at all. Having somebody with the same jersey on as you and working as a team does do. No, I absolutely... Oh, this damn camera overheats. Right, so picking back up in this race. Where are we? Coming to the hairpin again. It's getting pretty surgy, pretty attacky. Less than 10 minutes to go. The pressure's hotting up. Dean is just off the front there, and I remember at this point I shouted, "Go on, Dean!" because I wanted him to keep pressing, because I was seeing the group only half-heartedly chasing him, and they only needed to sit up for a few seconds, and he'd then gain a few more seconds, and I thought he could potentially stay away here. Unfortunately, it looks like they leave him dangling a little bit, and it gives you that encouragement that, oh, you're going to stay away, you're going to stay away. But I think in reality, they were ready to close in whenever they wanted. But like here, when they start snaking around, that is when we're losing, like now, we're losing time to Dean. The gap is opening up. He's going to stretch that out if he keeps pressing, but it's really hard when you're out foot. See there, look, he really doesn't want to be on the front. I'm not going to pull through. My teammate's up the road. This is where he's gaining a few seconds. So unfortunately, then there's another attack to bridge across, and then of course the group sort of just surges. I'm a bit boxed in here. The group sort of surges up to those people, but that was a good opportunity for Dean. He's still working hard, look, and he's still got a decent gap, but it's just not quite enough to be convincing and to keep people away, like, convincingly. That's a decent gap there. It's stretching out. But when it's kicking on here up to sort of 500 watts, the gap is very quickly eaten up. He had a big attack, and then he's been away for a lap and a bit. You know, fatigue's going to start setting in. Still got a decent gap there. Come on, Dean. I was thinking this is it. Like, he could just sort of start slipping away. If somebody on the front here just stops chasing, again, that gap will go back out. But it just takes that person just to lose the will and just to give him that bit more of a chance. That was that lapped rider. Unfortunately, he's lost nearly a lap now, but fair play to him. Come on, Dean. I think I shout again here. Maybe I shouldn't have shouted as much, but you know, I want to encourage him, and I want to tell him that the group isn't working well together. The gap is about the same as it was last lap, but they haven't closed it. So if they wanted to close it, they should have done by now. That they're kicking hard out the corner here. So, you know, if Dean hasn't kicked, I'm doing not 850 watts. That's pretty much flat out for me. If Dean hasn't kicked that hard, then he's going to get brought back, and I think he has just been brought back. Oh no, he's still off the front. I thought he'd been brought back. Does he last another lap? Blimey. Come on, Dean. This is why I was shouting. It's hard to work out how hard they're going on the front. Although I'm surging here to get a good position, if anything, I want to try and get to the front and hold it up a little bit. I want to try and get in the way, because then Dean again can try and string away. I think they've got him now. They're in the distance there where they're getting a bit of drafting benefit from him as well. So he's been brought back. It's unfortunate. That was a real good effort from him. But all these people now have done a bit of work trying to bring him back. So I'm now thinking, right, this is where I need to counter-attack, because they might just let me go because they've worked to catch him up. So I'm just trying to move up a little bit. Dean's still on the front, so I'm not sure how he's feeling. I don't want him to get dropped. I come around the outside of Dean, and this is my time here. I'm working hard. I shout to him on your left. I've kicked hard into this chicane. This is the perfect opportunity for me. The group have just been chasing him. I need to kick on now and just try and get away desperately. You can see I have opened a decent gap there. and I'm committing to this. This to me is my chance. We've got about 5 minutes left in the race. I need to kick on hard here. I glanced around behind me, and again, that guy in the white jersey, blue and white jersey, is chasing me down. He is a bit of a pest. He's a bit of a problem. I've eased up here because I knew that he was right on my wheel. Unfortunately, I've been brought back straight away. That was a bit disappointing because I was hoping then that counter-attack would work. Now at this point, I'm then thinking, oh, maybe Dean will come around again, but in reality, it's a bit of a big ask. He did a massive turn, whereas I've just had a little bit of a dig. He was off the front for like two and a bit laps, so that's a pretty big effort. Now here, my heart rate is pretty high. That was a big effort there. I'd really committed to try and getting away. This guy again just surges around to the left of me. Now this is where I make the race winning move. If I'm honest, I didn't fully plan it out, so I'm just sitting on to the right, I'm just recovering. Really, I want the group to come past me and me to slot in. And I was thinking, well, I didn't really know how I was going to win this race, to be honest. But I look around at this point, and the whole group is sat across to the left-hand side of the circuit, and I'm on the right, and it's a gentle headwind here. So then I start surging on a little bit and just seeing what the group does. I'm actually looking over to my left and looking at what the group's doing, and they don't react. So I'm doing like, what, 580, 600 watts seated, just getting a little bit of a gap. Now, see here, they swing across behind me, but that first rider isn't chasing. He swung across to let somebody come through, and nobody comes through. So then I carry some speed into the corner. I know I've got a little bit of a gap. The camera makes it look like the gap is bigger than it is, and then I absolutely whack it out of this corner. This is it. I've already got a gap. I need to establish this gap ASAP. So I'm pressing on hard. I'm absolutely railing it around the chicane as hard as I can here. Oh, very close to getting on the grass there as well. 30 odd miles an hour. I'm absolutely giving it everything I've got here. My heart rate is only a couple of beats below my max. I think this is what, 31 minutes into a surgy attacking race. I have got to give it absolutely everything. I'm fully committing to this because I think if this doesn't work, then unfortunately I'm not going to win the bunch sprint. But I've got to give this everything. Now, this is a lapped rider here, so I'm thinking, how can I not get held up by this rider? Fortunately, he was just a bit further ahead, so I didn't have to pass him in the corner, so it didn't affect me at all. But I just shout out to him, where I'm coming, just so that he's aware. So you can see there, the group, they're chasing, they're strung out, but I've just got to keep pushing. There's still a gap there. If I can surge hard and keep that gap there, all they've got to do is start looking at each other for 10 seconds or so, and then if I get out of sight, out of mind, that's a problem. 430 watts down this straight at the end of a race. This is everything I've got. This is a slight rise here, so I'm kicking on up to 480 watts just to try and get a bit of a bigger gap. The GoPro makes it look bigger than it actually is. 2 laps to go was that. So the first lap when I was away, I did 430 watts for the first lap just to try and get that gap. Now I'm not thinking, how can I pace this for the rest of the race now? I've just got to get a big enough gap that they're not chasing or not chasing hard. If I'd have paced it for the rest of the race, I wouldn't have had this gap now that had brought me back. I had to commit to that big effort lap to get a gap. And again here, I'm still not away, so I'm surging out this corner. I'm absolutely blowing like mad here. I'm on my max heart rate. I'm giving this everything I've got. I'm getting aero. I'm absolutely pinning it around these corners. Like every second counts. I think I put 2 seconds into the bunch on the first lap I was away, and then another 2 on the second. So then a 4-second gap becomes a decent sized gap. They then got to take 4 seconds out of me in 1 lap, which is unlikely if I don't blow up. Slight tailwind down this way, so I'm easing off in inverted commas to 400 watts. Like I am still going very hard, but I just know if I go into that last lap with a decent gap, I'm probably still going to be able to hold it because they're going to be thinking about the sprint. If you're on your own in terms of no teammates coming into the last lap, you want to save your legs for a sprint finish, so therefore you're not going to spend the whole of the last lap chasing somebody. And I can see there, that's a decent gap. I know that's a handful of seconds, but I've still got to kick on this last lap. I was thinking, what if I puncture? What if I blow up? What if somebody attacks out of that group? Like, there's so many variables. I need to put it beyond contention. I need to stay away and put it out of their minds. That last lap, 143.5, I think that's the fastest lap I've ever done on this circuit. Let's see what this next lap is. This is it now. This is the bell lap, so 1 lap to go. 144.8, so it was only a second slower, but again, it was a couple of seconds faster than the bunch were going. That's a fast lap for me around there. I think it's about 27 miles an hour, so on a road bike, that is pretty fast going. It might be 28 miles an hour, actually. Pretty fast going. Now, I know now that this is, I've just got to hold this. I've just got to keep it going another lap. It's less than 2 minutes of effort. and I'm there. Come on, Daniel. Triathlete wins a bike race. It'd be a good Strava title, a good video title, I know that. Again, this is everything I've got. I'm not easing off at all. Although I know I've got a decent gap, I've still got in my mind, those people in that bunch have got great kicks and great sprints. If they're going to really attack down this back straight, they could close the gap of 50 metres or so just by having that big power surge. So I'm running scared. I'm absolutely running scared here. I daren't lift off until I get around this hairpin and see what the gap is, and even then I'm still a bit hesitant as to, you know, taking it dead easy because of where they are. I'm easing up coming to this corner now because I'm absolutely gone, if I'm honest, and I know that it's not going to affect my speed too much with the tailwind. And then this is it, the last hairpin. I know I want to turn around and I want to see a big gap, and then I feel a lot better. I turn around and I do see a big gap. They're not even coming to the corner as I'm coming out. Plenty of gap, plenty of space. There we go. I've put another few seconds into him. I know now that I've got it. Now I'm still doing 450 watts because I'm still not absolutely confident that I've got it. I feel like I have, but I can't quite be 100% sure, and I'm worried that I'm going to like puncture or something. So I keep it going all the way, and when I'm here now, I know that I've got it. I know it's beyond contention. I'm trying to celebrate it, but I nearly stack it on the finish line. Boom, won a bike race. Excellent, so happy with that. Thank you to Dean, my teammate. That move might not have stuck if he didn't put that big attack in on the lap before, so thank you very much, Dean, good work. And yeah, that was it. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock for a normal video. And watch this space because bike racing is going to continue at some point in the future. Laters.